nice to be back.
Welcome again to the Dimock Center.
Yes.
And what's really incredibly special is thinking about the building that we're in. This is the Marie Jashevska building. This is named after the founder. And you think about 160 years ago when this was conceived as then a hospital. And now we're sitting in this space reimagining what it can be at this point. So we thank you for being part of this and being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been a long time coming, and it's full circle in so many ways, given my long-term relationship with Dimock. So grateful to each and every one of you for your example, for your partnership, for being my partners in this work. As you all are well aware, and that I represent the Massachusetts 7th, which includes majority parts Boston, Cambridge, all of Somerville, Randolph, Everett, Chelsea, and Milton. A vibrant, diverse, dynamic district, and one of the most unequal in our country. And that's true across all outcomes, including and especially health outcomes, which is why I am so grateful to Dimock for, again, the culturally competent, people-centered, compassionate services that are provided here. And as I was saying to some incredible dedicated people from your development team as I was coming in, the best investment that we can make is in our people. And that will always yield the greatest return. And so to be a steward of that in any way is incredibly humbling and rewarding. And we find ourselves still recovering from what have been layered crises, unprecedented challenges for us as a city, as a commonwealth, and as a country. And Dimock has met the moment every time. And it makes me very proud to contribute to the incredible legacy of this great, I can't call it an institution. It really is a community.
It absolutely is.
And so I'm grateful to everyone here at this round table as we celebrate the $1 million in funds to help create a men's clinical stabilization services program as a part of Dimock's Restoring Hope capital campaign to expand addiction treatment in our community. This day and moment would not have been possible without the close partnership of the Dimock Center and their vision to create spaces of healing and transformation in our community. Dr. Charles Anderson, we thank you for your stewardship, your compassionate and effective and nimble leadership, especially during the last 3 years of this pandemic. And of course, the dedicated staff of Dimock, we are grateful for your leadership and commitment to meeting the needs of the many. And I will say especially for this investment made possible through community project funding, having shared the story of my father's own struggles and journey to sobriety. Thank you for never giving up. Thank you for never giving up on us. And, my partnership with all of our community health centers, including Dimock, goes back to my days on the Boston City Council, where I was constantly citing the fact that our community health centers are overutilized and under-resourced, and was championing more funding through the Ways and Means process on the Boston City Council, and now to be serving in Congress, serving on the Community Health Center caucus, representing the most community health centers of any other congressional district in the country. And in fact, 1 in 3 of my constituents to receive their care from a community health center. This $1 million funding will go directly towards the creation of 16 beds for men for clinical stabilization, the first here in the city of Boston, which again is consistent with the legacy of Dimock. You are often blazing a trail, creating a new blueprint, and so that is true here. And these funds will provide an opportunity for men in recovery to get the support and the resources that they need to recover and to live a thriving life. This program will go towards sustaining recovery, leading healthy lives, and ultimately reuniting with loved ones, which when I was last here, I just was saying how much I appreciate the holistic response and the understanding of, again, how important those familial bonds are to one's sobriety. The health and wellness of the individual, the family, and the community are inextricably linked. It is not hyperbole to say that this program will save lives. This work is personal to me. Too often our country incarcerates and criminalizes pain. We have a legacy in this country of treating trauma with more trauma. And that is why pace-setting, innovative, holistic, culturally competent, and compassionate programs like this one are so necessary to disrupt that legacy and that status quo response of criminalization, resulting in great shame and stigma and isolation. And I'll just say in my father's instance, which only led him to abuse his opioid addiction even more. So I am proud of the work of the Dimock Center and your vision to bring the people closest to the pain, closest to the power. You saw a need, you contacted our office, and together we have delivered. Many families, communities, and churches will benefit from this program. And again, instead of criminalizing, we are providing resources. Instead of legislating hurt, we are legislating healing. At this roundtable are many distinguished members of Dimock and the community who know directly the work of recovery and the lived experience. And I look forward to actively listening and learning more from each and every one of you. So let's turn it over. So maybe we should just start with everyone.
Some introductions?
Yes, build some community and go around the table here.
Hi, good morning. My name is Terrell Patterson. I'm the Senior Director of Residential Recovery Services.
Wonderful.
Hi, I'm Maya Betts. I'm the Chief of Behavioral Health.
Hi, I'm David Goss. I'm a resident of John Flower Dinner.
My name is Isaac Rutledge. I'm the Clinical Supervisor, John Flower Recovery Home.
Hi, my name is Donna Singleton, and I am a recovery specialist, behavioral health specialist at Dimock ATS.
I'm Nadia Javier, I'm the clinical director at my sister's house.
Hi, I'm Sarah Bourne, I'm the program supervisor of MSH, my sister's house.
Okay, wonderful. Well, and how many of you were here at our original meeting? Everyone? Okay.
Not everybody, no.
Okay.
No.
Oh, no one, okay. I didn't know if people were being shy. Okay, so just one person, okay. Yes, well, that was at a point when we were just talking about why we were fighting for this money. And now to know that the funds have been appropriated and will in short order be appropriately invested is very exciting. And so for those of you here at Dimock, if you would just expound upon what this investment will mean and who it will serve and why it is needed, and then for any who have gone, who have overcome addiction and are now on a pathway of recovery and successful reentry into community and reunion with family. You know, we would love to hear those stories too.
Maybe I can begin by saying that we thought about this panel very specifically around who would be great to meet you and for you to meet, because each individual represents something a little different some of our staff, Terrell, an amazing leader. He's done some great work with our long-term programs, as well as Serena, and Nadia is a new clinical director, Isaac as well, and some of the individuals here at the table are also in recovery themselves and our staff here. And they wanted to come and speak and be part of this, which is so important. So they've had the lived experience, but are also doing amazing work here and helping to heal our clients and our patients. So that's how they're here. We're so excited about having the men's CSS beds. It's so needed. You know, we have these men that are coming into our detox that are suffering so much, and there's been no place for them to go. They have to travel far away to get this next step in care in their recovery journey. And many times, as we know, if people have to travel, they won't come back necessarily to our wonderful long-term programs, which we have. And so by having the men's CSS right on campus, they literally just walk across this little road and come here and are really welcomed with open arms. This is such a critical step in the recovery journey because it is that place now where people are beginning to no longer, they're now alcohol and drug free. And now it's such a difficult time because they're facing their lives, the trauma, the loss, and all of that. But this is really that next step where healing really starts. A lot of work is done in the ATS, amazing work to get people prepared and positioned for this, and now this is that step as you talk about family reunification begins. Really beginning to plan for permanency and start to help people to stabilize. So really important.
Yeah. Well, and Dr. Anderson, I hope I've been quoting the stat correctly because I've said it in many rooms. But when we were last together, one of the sort of really sobering data points that you offered during the pandemic is that there had been an increase of 60% of opioid fatalities of Black men during the pandemic.
That's right.
And not too long after I left our meeting, I had just put up a message, Black men, you deserve to grow old. Mm-hmm. And, what you shared there, again, we know behind every number, every statistic, there is a person and a story. Right. And in hearing that, I could think only of my father. And again, I'm incredibly proud of him. He did ultimately overcome his opioid addiction. But he cycled in and out of the criminal legal system, doing things to support that addiction. And he was self-medicating after a lifetime of trauma, being orphaned early and then having to care for himself and 5 other siblings. And he did ultimately become sober, attain advanced degrees, go on to become a college professor and a published author. And I'm very proud of him. But needless to say, when he was in that cycle, it was incredibly destabilizing to our household. I felt that my father had abandoned me for drugs. I harbored great resentment towards him for that because I was too young to understand that it was a disease. But I really wish that my father had had access to something like this, on-demand, culturally competent, holistic treatment and care, instead of his disease being criminalized and being incarcerated off and on for some 14 years and out of my life. But like some of you around this table, we have come full circle, and despite the many years that his addiction and incarceration kept him out of my life, 8 years ago, he walked me down the aisle to the love of my life. And we finally, I no longer call him by his first name. I now call him Dad. Yeah. So for those of you that weren't at the first meeting, I just wanted to offer that. So when I say this is personal, it really is. And I just, again, for anyone who's willing to share their story, I thank you for your willingness to share it. I do look forward to a day where people don't have to relive their trauma in order to compel action and response. But just know that whatever you share, I will carry it with me, and it will embolden me and inform all the work that I do. So, yeah.
Today is a very special day for our individual receiving services. say it. So today is a really important day.
Well, today, it's not a year, right? Today's 14 months, so.
Okay, well, we're gonna clap on that. 14 months. Incredible. I look for any excuse to have cake. I would have brought one. And I know, congratulations.
Thank you. I wanted to say something on one of the points that you made. You said something about it being overused and
Underused.
under-resourced.
Yes.
So I was myself one of the people that overused, trying to get onto further treatment. And because in Boston, Massachusetts, there wasn't any place for me to get on stabilized. And I was offered to go out of the city of Boston to find that stabilization. And there's a level of fear in that commitment. Because if they tell you, you gotta go to Lawrence and make a commitment to go there, if you get there and you don't like staying there, and I'm from Boston, my only way to get back, now I'm lost in Lawrence at a CSS I don't want to be in, and I'm aimlessly walking the streets trying to find my way home. So that's hard. So I want to thank you for the commitment to bring that here to Boston, the CSS, because it's important to have a detox for a glimmer of hope. You can look across the street and see people that might have been your roommate in detox. You see them over here at CSS and now they have a smile on their face. And that will bring a glimmer of hope. And then, people at the CSS can look across the street and see the program I'm at, John Flowers. And it's the hope for further treatment. And I think that's the most important part. Because it's hard to make that commitment. And making a commitment as a city kid myself, get out of the city that I grew up in, to go find, treatment in the uncertainty and insecure person of going to a place that I don't know nothing about. That's a hard commitment. So I was one that went in and out of treatment for about 2 years in hospitals, and they would offer me that. That was my time to go because it was so far away. They offered it, and I finally made a commitment because it was almost, it was death calling. So it came to that point. So
Well,
I was fortunate, but I want to say thank you because this is huge, especially for this city that's going on right now.
tell me your first name again.
My name is David.
David, you're fortunate, but you also worked very hard. And every hour of this 14 months you earned. And so we congratulate you. And I also just want to thank you for lifting up how challenging it is to be removed from community. I think there are many who feel it's best to extract you from that which is familiar because there are, people, places, and spaces that can trigger you or, pull you back into that. But there's two sides to that coin. Because yes, there are temptations and people, spaces, and places that can again trigger you to relapse. But this is also where you have community and family and good things that are familiar, and so it can be very challenging. And of course, we know that these crises are layered, and so if you are struggling with substance use disorder, you're likely dealing with housing insecurity or job insecurity and other things. And so to move people so far out, it becomes challenging to navigate other parts of your life, to stay connected to your children or your faith house or whatever. So thank you so much, David, and congratulations again. Next time, I promise, at least cupcakes.
We'll hold you to that.
Okay. Is that okay at a health center? They'll be gluten-free.
Gluten-free.
Okay,
There you go. You know me and my
gluten and sugar-free. They won't taste good.
No,
But they will be
sugar's fine. The gluten we gotta
They'll
take
be
out.
gluten and sugar-free. Would anyone else like to share? Okay, yes.
So thank you so much for being a big part of this campaign that we have going on here at the Nick Center. It's a great honor to meet you. I always see you on TV, but I never get to see you in person. So I'm really honored to meet you.
my honor.
So my name is Donna Singleton, and I come from trauma. I had a lot of trauma in my lifetime, and I really didn't know how to deal with that. So what I did was I picked up at an early age drugs and alcohol, and I stayed in that cycle for a very, very, very long time, and I can say for over 35 years. I was out in the streets, and I was doing what I had to do, to survive. I have to say this because God is so good, and He's part of my story. He's part of why I'm here today. He's part of me being the woman that I am today and becoming the woman that I am today. And so I'd like to say that I have 3 years, but I only have 1 day. I have 3 years coming back, I only have 1 day. And so I went through detox. I went through Dimock detox, as a matter of fact. And this is the story that I love to tell. I went on to further treatment. And I kept going and I kept going because I didn't have anything else to do or anywhere else to go. So I stayed in treatment, and that treatment fixed my life for me. And amazing that all the trials and tribulations that I've been through, I'm still standing.
Amen.
Also, God has been, like I said, a big part of my story. I was homeless. I was in a 3-quarter house about maybe 2 years ago, and they told me that I couldn't get housing. And I was like, what do you mean I can't get housing? And she said, yeah, you're already housed. And so my foot went, no, I'm not. I'm not housed. I need to fight this. And I fought the fight, and I won. And finally, I have my own apartment.
All right.
And I can go in, and every night that I'm trying to feed to my door, I say, thank you, God, for allowing me to be where I am. And I will never, ever forget where I come from. That's why this is so passionate to me. I love being a behavioral health specialist. And thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we're so proud of you and grateful to you, and I know we're not in church, but it felt like it. So I want to say, we thank God for you and that journey and that victory in your life, and that you're inspiring and helping so many others in their journey, because you demonstrate, you are a living witness that it is possible. And I also want to say, the self-determination and the agency, and you're fighting for the housing that you deserve, is also indicative of your journey and your healing, because you thought enough of yourself to fight for what you deserve. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate your transparency there.
Sharing.
Okay.
I would say, if I could very briefly,
Okay.
I'd like to echo what our Chief Behavioral Health Officer said. And thank you very much, Congresswoman Pressley, for all of your efforts down in Washington, D.C. and in the community. It's greatly appreciated. And thank you for thinking of us.
Yeah, of course.
With the funding that's going to be provided, we're going to be able to expand our service delivery capabilities considerably. And something that's much needed. And I see already, before it even happens, there's going to be an awful lot of sustainability that's associated with it. We're going to be able to provide services like what everybody's been saying around the table. Most importantly, our continuum of care. It's going to strengthen our continuum of care, whereby individuals can receive services in the community that they reside. They don't have to go outside of the community.
That's right.
Which is a problem. Transportation is a major
Yes.
barrier to treatment. And it's our philosophy here that the longer we can keep people in treatment, the better the treatment outcomes will be. So that's what we're looking for. And this was just so stamped on, if I could say, and important, very important. And just thank you from all of us.
All right.
You're welcome.
And kind of to piggyback Isaac a little bit, that I do think it's important as he talks about the continuum of care. And, when we call Dimock patients, they really are Dimock patients. And the opportunity to, go to acute treatment services and the detox, to be able to transition to the CSS level of care, and then on to potentially a long-term program all on this campus. It's pretty unique. And so it certainly does strengthen and enhance services that we're able to provide on campus. And I think that's really special. Sorry.
No,
No,
not apologizing whenever perspective, and especially again as we can continue to make the case for how this investment will be used to change and to save lives.
Right.
So I appreciate you both enumerating those points. Yes.
Thank you. So I just really want to say thank you for coming. It's an honor to meet you as well. And, you piggyback up some other, Donna had to say, it's an honor to meet you for sure. And what you're doing for Dimock is amazing. I too am in recovery. So I appreciate you sharing your experience, personal experience. It helps me that, it doesn't really matter what background we come from. It doesn't matter what we look like. We can dress it up as much as we want, But really here at Dimock, we focus on trauma-informed care. And that's what I love most about working for Dimock. I didn't come through treatment here. I like to say that every time I checked myself into treatment, I would leave because they would say, David, go to Worcester, you would go here, and before the van ride was even up, I was out the car because I was afraid, fearful of the unknown. Well, what's next? Yeah, I don't know. Here, I see people from detox, staff, residents. I used to actually work in the women's CSS here. Now I'm downstairs at the residential program.
Okay.
But the transition.
Yes. She's that part.
That.
Yes. Okay. She said, "Get that right." Yes. Yes. Congratulations. It's fantastic.
Long time. 11 years homeless, sleeping under bridges. In jail is the way that I got to be able to sit at this round table, because I was full of fear, and because they were driving me so far away, I was like, I'm gonna go back to what I know, and I'm just gonna stay stuck, right? My oldest didn't call me mom either. Today.
Oh, give me your hand. You're gonna make me cry.
I am that title back. He calls me mom today. And my kids were being adopted, and they're not anymore.
All right.
It's huge what you're doing here. And it's huge what we all do here. Down to the residents. Everybody is important, right? People that work here and the people that reside here, this treatment that I see every day, the hard work from the great leaders. This gentleman comes in my office every day and just, even if I'm having a bad day, puts a smile on my face. Her included, everybody. I see Donna, Isaac, I see him outside. I don't know where he's going all the time. But we really do, we see each other, and it just makes a world of a difference. And I am so grateful to be a part of that and be able to be sitting here.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your journey with us. And, again, because the care here is trauma-informed, is culturally competent, gender-specific, it's just so customized. It's obvious that people feel very seen and seen in the totality of who they are. One of the reasons why I tell the full story of my father's journey is he found it very hurtful in the public square that whenever they talked about him, they only defined him by his addiction and not any of the other parts of him. So that's why I tell the other parts of his story. And so, again, what you all remind people of is your humanity fully, and that you are so much more than your disease, and you are more than your trauma. And that even if your past has shaped and informed your present, that you're not hostage to it.
Right.
So I'm just, I know we just met, but I love you all. And I'm just so proud of you and inspired by all of you and grateful to each and every one of you. And I do want to have an equality of voice here, something we don't often do in Congress. So everyone doesn't get the floor. We filibuster. Try to get rid of that thing. But in all seriousness, if anyone else would like to contribute something, we would love to hear what you have to say.
So I would like to echo what Serena, Terrell, and Isaac have shared. I think Dimock is very unique in not only does it look at substance abuse, but it also looks at every aspect, and it takes every person individually. Mm-hmm. And I hear Serena's story, and I hear Donna's story, and David's story, but they teach us how to be better, right? I've never been in recovery myself, and similar to you, I have my own personal journey with substance use and family members, but I go to Serena for things because I know that she's been in the trenches, and now she has her hand outside the pool, but she knows what it feels like to be in the trenches, so I can go to her, and I can relate, and I can get better as a clinician, better as a person, and I think Dimock, the fact that we hire people who've been in recovery and we're teaching them that this is just a small part of your journey and there's so much more to go, is so amazing to watch and be a part of. Like, we get to hold the hope for people, and then eventually they get to take it from us. Mm-hmm. And that in itself is the best thing to see. At my sister's house, I watch all these ladies graduate and go on and get their children back, and I hear Serena's story all the time, and even hearing it always makes me emotional because I get to stand on the sidelines with her, and I get to applaud her on her journey as she continues to grow. And we get to do it with the ladies, and we see it with the men, and it's a beautiful thing when people get a second chance.
Well, I'm jealous. Someone needs to invite me to a graduation. I'm tired of living this vicariously through other people. You know? So I need to see this up close and personal.
Cake, balloons, cupcakes.
Okay, see, she knows the magic word.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yes, it
It really is. You can see why
is.
I have a smile on my face every day coming in, supporting this wonderful team. The same sort of thing you're doing in terms of this type of support. You know, how can we not? Right? How can we not invest in amazing people who want to make a difference in so many people's lives?
That's right.
Right? And here I'll give you another statistic.
Okay, so I did have it right. As
Sobering
as it is, did I have it right?
69%. So almost
It's even
70%.
worse than what I said.
But I'm gonna give you another statistic.
Okay.
3 out of 4 people can successfully get into recovery. This is treatable. 3 out of 4 people can successfully get into recovery. But it takes this sort of investment in people, in process, and infrastructure to get there. And that's what this is really about. So when you think about the 5,000 people in the city of Boston every year who are looking for services, we need to continue to make these sorts of investments. It's people, it's process, and it's infrastructure. These are amazing people doing amazing things every day, and the opportunity to do that in a space like this is going to be absolutely incredible in terms of what we're going to be able to do. We're going to continue to push. We will continue to push as we realize that there's so much more we want to be doing for so many more people. Right? We want to continue to these amazing resources that we're able to garner through champions like Congresswoman Pressley to continue to invest in people. Because that is what this is about. It's about people. It's about humanity. That's why we do what we do. And I thank you all for allowing me to be part of that process. And every time I hear these stories, which I hear quite often, empowers me even more. So I'll be talking to you about the next opportunity. because we're not
what Dr. Anderson is. If closed mouths don't get fed was a person,
exactly.
that is Dr. Charles Anderson on your behalf. I want you all to know that. So, but you are worth that advocacy and so deserving of that fight. And you will always have, a supporter, a believer, an advocate in me for the work of Dimock. So. All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here today. It is always good to be back in Roxbury in the heart of the Massachusetts 7. Today we are celebrating a $1 million investment in federal funding that we have worked through the advocacy of myself and my team in partnership with Dimock for over a year to deliver to the Dimock Center to support their substance use treatment and programming. We've been doing events like this for almost a year now, highlighting the various projects across the district, totaling some $8 million in investment through the appropriations process, through our community project funding. And each of these will help to build a more just and equitable Massachusetts 7th. But this one is near and dear to my heart. As I was sharing earlier, growing up, my father, Martin, was absent during my formative years due to the fact that his substance use disorder, his addiction to opioids, was criminalized and rather being met with compassion and trauma-informed care. My father's addiction was met with criminalization and incarceration. We know that is the story for millions more. In full transparency, as I shared earlier, I resented my father for his absence, and it was years before we were able to heal. I'm very proud today to say that I no longer call him Martin. He is my father, and he is healthy and thriving and has gone on to make great contributions to our country. There are so many people today that are struggling, especially given the sobering statistics shared by Dr. Anderson earlier, of a 69% increase in opioid fatalities during the pandemic of Black men. Men like my father, battling addiction, living with substance use disorders, and also layered traumas and insecurity in other ways, housing insecurity, job insecurity, food insecurity. And because today we are making that investment, as Dr. Anderson spoke to so eloquently, in people, in infrastructure, in process, we will be able to benefit from the brilliance and the contributions and the innovation of many more. This crisis has inflicted unspeakable harm on our communities, destabilizing households like the one that I grew up in. And it is long overdue that we make the critical and formidable and robust investments to confront it head on. There is no greater infrastructure to invest in than our people. I am so thrilled to deliver this critical investment to the Dimock Center so that they can expand their substance use treatment and facilities and help men like my father get the resources and care they need to get back on their feet. I do believe that the wealth of our nation is the health of our people, and the investment that we're celebrating here today is exactly the type of investment that we should be making in our people, in their health, in their wellness, and livelihoods, and programs like the one here at Dimock are really, and this is so consistent with the legacy of Dimock, they are the blueprint, they are the pace setters, they are a national model for how we provide culturally competent, trauma-informed, holistic care. No matter the challenge, Dimock has not only met the moment, they have exceeded it. I thank you. I thank our patients today for bravely sharing their stories. I want to celebrate all of them, Serena, Donna, and David in particular, who is celebrating 14 months of sobriety. We are so very inspired, encouraged by his story, and proud of him. And again, thank you to Dr. Anderson and the entire Dimock staff to our advocates for your partnership in getting this critical project across the finish line, and for all that you do in service to the Roxbury and Greater Boston community. And so now we'll hear from Dr. Anderson himself, and after that, we'll hear from Mr. Patterson. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. You know, I can't emphasize enough the importance and the value of this. When we think about the fact that across the Commonwealth, there are roughly 50,000 people a year looking for services, looking for support for this awful disease. And we think about, we narrow that down to the city of Boston, there are roughly 5,000 people a year looking for support. The opportunity for many of them to reach that goal of 90 days in a structured program can be completely disrupted when someone has to go from one campus to another part of the state to then another part of the state. The opportunity to provide all those services across the continuum right here on one campus, and with this type of support allowing us to now add the addition of being able to do that for men, is incredibly important and incredibly meaningful. Without this sort of support, people would be continuing to cycle in and out of something where we know that there's real chance for survival. I think about the 69% increase, and I think of all the men who've lost their lives to this disease. And I look at that at the same time, I know that there's other data that makes it very clear that 3 out of 4 people can actually enter a road to recovery and do well. But it's this opportunity for us to really restore hope, which is why this campaign is just that. It's not just the hope for sobriety, but it's also that hope of our reunification with family, with community, and really that hope and knowledge that there are people like our wonderful Congresswoman and our amazing team here who care and show up every day and help everyone understand that they themselves can also care for themselves. And it's that type of hope that allows people to understand that tomorrow can be better. And so I thank you for this support and this work that we do to restore hope and to get people on a path that impacts their family, their community, and impacts their ability to show up for that next person who's potentially dealing with exactly the same thing, to allow them to be hopeful that they can have a different tomorrow. So I thank you so much for what you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from Terrell Patterson.
So I think it's important to really shed light on what's really offered on this campus and the Dimock community. You know, Dimock really gives a person a real fair shot of getting their life back on track. And with the array of services that are offered on this 9-acre campus is really unique, and it is really special. And this opportunity only strengthens and enhances the services that are being able to be provided here at Dimock. So for a patient to be able to really go to an ATS service and detox service, to transition to the CSS level of care, to better prepare themselves for long-term care, and then hopefully continue treatment and long-term program. And all that happens, you know, on this one block. And that is a real unique situation for a person. And I also wanted to add the caveat to all of that is the Dimock Healthcare and the community center. And also additionally providing an array of primary care, dentist, optometry, additional outpatient services as well. And that is really special. And it really minimizes vulnerability of a person having to travel out to other areas and maybe being in neighborhoods that aren't so supportive for their journey right now, or even encountering people that might not be so healthy for what their goals are right now. And so for us here, it really is special to kind of see that part of a transformation in a person's life, and all of that happen right here on this one block. So I'm very grateful to be part of that.
Anyone else would like to say a word, David?
No pressure.
I would just like to say thank you to Congresswoman Pressley. It's a pleasure for me to be here, to be able to be a part of this, to be able to meet her and to be a part of this situation. I myself was one of the people that had a hard time finding further treatment, and I think this is a great opportunity for everybody in the city who's struggling in addiction to be able to come to this one campus to get to where they need to be in their life. It's a struggle, but it can be done. That's it.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you.
Perfect word to end on. Thank you, David. All right, well now, I think this is the moment you've all been waiting for.
That's right.
It's real. Okay. All right, and so here is a visual representation of the $1 million investment. Do you all want us to stay right here? We'll come forward. Okay, so everyone come up.
Yes.
All right, yes, everyone. Okay, get close. Come on, baby. I want you to get used to holding checks.
All right. Hey.
So we're just going to keep you up here a little bit longer.
That's right.
All right, excellent. Thank you, everyone. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and so we, you all are free to go, and unless anyone has any questions. Okay, that means we did it all. All right, now who gets to hold this?
Oh, I'm
Who gets to
gonna
settle
make
this?
sure I hold it.
Okay.
I got this.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Will you take a